Greetings! Hello, everybody. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome if you're watching this as the replay. Welcome if you are joining me live. And welcome to Wild Soul Evolution Facebook community, a place where we are coming together in commitment and drive to evolve together, to live our best lives together, and to call in more freedom. So it's no worries if you are catching this as the replay. Please feel free, if you're joining me live, also say hello, introduce yourself. Let me know where you're watching from, even if you're on this as the replay. I want to hear you. I want to get to know you. I want to know who you are and what drives you. Ourselves. And the way that we have been doing things as humanity is that we've been trying to change the external, right? A lot of the last decades have been focused on looking at what's wrong in the external world. And that's not the way we change it, because the external world is simply a projection, right? It's a projection of what we've all have going on internally. And today we're going to work with shifting that to a new level for each and every one of you. So who's excited for that, right? I know that I am, because freedom, let me know in the comments too, before we even get started. Let me know if you're here live and again watching the replay. Let me know in the comments, what does freedom mean to you, right? What do you want more of? When I say, do you want more freedom? Do you want a life of purpose? What does that start to look like to you? Because a really big piece of that is that what we're shifting out of, what humanity is slowly evolving out of, is this idea that life needs to look like the same box for everyone, right? We've seen a lot of that in our parents' generations and our grandparents' generations. There was a lot of people just trying to survive their lives, right? And there was a lot of people setting these rules that life needs to look like, this box. Life needs to look like this. And if life doesn't look like this, you're somehow doing something wrong. And there's been a lot of projection of other people's control grids and insecurities onto all of us, right? And we see it. There's like a really big shift. There's been a really big shift between our parents' generation, like in our parents' generation. I'm 40, all right? Just to give you guys a perspective of where the generations are at. But in our parents' and grandparents' generations, the people who kind of lived to the beat of their own drum, kind of free-spirited, were always kind of lumped into that like hippie fringe dweller category. Whereas in my generation, there's like a really big split and divide. And in my generation, there's people that are going for it and doing it, that have really been a big part of the digital revolution and the fact that we can do all of this stuff online. They're understanding energetics. And then in the generations coming behind me, it's even more just fully accepted. And I see the younger and younger generations just stepping more fully into their own freedom and purpose and refusing to accept that this has to be my life. And you know what? Let's just be real for a minute, right? Before we get into our activation, let's just have a chat for a minute so that everybody's mental bodies can come along for the ride. And again, you guys know the drill. Some of you might be new, so you don't know the drill. I love for you guys to interact with me. I love for you guys to engage with me. You have a more powerful experience when you engage, when you ask questions, when you share your ahas, when you answer the questions. It's going to lock in everything that we talk about for you on a deeper level. So much of what I'm going to be doing today is energetic. I'm going to be taking you guys into a space to operate on an energetic, but I'm going to give you guys now the information, the knowledge, the wisdom, so that your mental body can come along for the ride as well. Because when you have those ahas in your conscious mental body, it makes it easier for you to accept what we're talking about and sharing more deeply. And, I do get very excited. I get very passionate. Sometimes I talk a little bit fast. I'm very descriptive, and it's because I love what I do so much. I am quite a visual person. So sometimes I do process very quickly. So what I ask of you today is, if you find that I do speak too quickly for you, just give yourself permission to listen along to the best of your ability. And I'm asking for your permission. Would it be okay if you just went along for the ride and trusted? Would it be okay if you trusted that you're getting everything you need, even if you don't fully understand the process we're going to do, even if your conscious mind kind of wants to say, what was that? I need something tangible. Would it be okay if you just surrendered to the process and gave it a try to see what you feel, right? And just fully surrender to it and trust that you're getting everything you need. Would that be okay with you guys? Give me a yes in the comments if that would be okay with you while I check back on your intro comments. Oh, hey, Jamie, Misty. Yeah, exactly, Trisha. Balancing all that calls to me in a healthy way. Vanessa, I suppose what comes to mind first is peace of mind, living according to my values. I love that. Yeah, Heather likes that too. Otherwise, I have a hard time putting into words what freedom is to me. And you know what? See, that's the thing, right? It's really easy. This is what I do. This is the place that I live in. So I can just start listing off all of the things that freedom means to me, right? And that what we're really talking about today is something that will connect you to your higher purpose. It's going to connect you to your own definition of freedom. It's going to open up one of the first 12 keys to freedom. Because did you know, just an interesting little statistic, I was looking at some stats and I found a study which was a few years old. So the stats are probably even greater at this point. But the number that I found was that 71% of employees in America are actively unhappy with the work that they do and are actively looking for different work. But what ends up happening is that people bounce from job to job. Hi, Gabe. Hi, brother. People bounce from job to job to job thinking that if I just get that job, I'll be happy. If I just get that new relationship or that partner, I'll be happy. Hey, Pran. Right? And we start to look externally at what we can change. Oh, if I could just get that vacation, I could be happy. But meanwhile, through our day-to-day life, 71%, that's a big percentage, right? And yet, almost 100% of people who break away from that grind and move over here and start following the call of their heart, following the call of their soul, and moving away from that, your life has to look like this box, and doing what feels right to them, almost 100% of people who move into that space would never in a million years, you couldn't pay them $1 million to go back to the grind, AKA the slave grid, right? But here's the thing. If you embark on this process, and here's what I see a lot of, right? If you embark on this process without being fully committed or without getting the wisdom around what it actually takes for it to be sustainable, you can find yourself stuck in a loop of, yes, being free, but not being free. And in a second, we're going to talk more about freedom to illustrate this more, but not being free enough to really do everything that calls to you, right? Raise your hand, give me a yes in the comments. If you know, or you know someone, you've seen this in action, that you have some freedom, like maybe you are kind of doing what you love. Maybe you're not part of the 9-to-5 grind. However, and I know a lot about a lot of you that are here, because I work with you, in depth as my clients, and some of you have just gotten to know over the years. You're not quite there yet either. You're kind of in this void area, this middle ground. And the reason that I'm identifying this for you is because I spent time in this place as well, because I didn't fully understand what it took, right? I moved out of working at the grind. I left my job. But I didn't fully understand what I needed to put into place to truly call in the freedom that I was wanting to call in. Because for me, freedom was a really big thing. Not only has it always been one of my like unconscious core drivers, to the point where, you know, my lack of feeling free in my life fueled like addiction and depression, which are one of the two biggest prisons that you could live in, right? An internal prison. Addiction is an internal prison. And so it's interesting that my choices and my coping mechanisms put me into the biggest prisons, internal prisons out there: anxiety, depression, and addiction, right? And as I reached for freedom, I started living very impulsively, right? Because I would travel, I would leave, I would quit jobs, I would take off, right? I had no wealth intelligence. I didn't know how to manage money. I didn't fully understand that these things, abundance, freedom, and purpose, were vibrations. They were frequencies that I had to learn to embody, right? On Friday, we talked a lot about embodiment in the training. Highly suggest you guys go back and watch the live from Friday if you haven't watched it yet. We talked a lot about what embodiment of a frequency means. And so what we're all taught to do, this is the old way, the old programming. What we all get taught to do is to change the external when we don't like something. So we move, we get a new relationship, we quit our job, we buy a new outfit, we go get a pedicure, right? We do all these things on the external that don't quite fill the void. And then we always have to come back and reality sets back in. And we're like, okay, what's the next thing that I can do to feel more free? When the real secret, do you guys want to know what the real secret is? Well, I just come back on some of your comments. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, awesome. Yes, prawn, it's afternoon for you there, huh? Feel that all too well. Life inside of the chrysalis is awkward. Exactly. Gradually getting there. No more soul crushing job, working in a field that I resonate with. That's amazing, Vanessa. And so, right, so that's what I was saying, right? I left my job and I went out on this mission. I was going to do the RV life with Chris, and I was going to start my own business because that's what called to me. I wanted to be a coach. I wanted to help empower people. I wanted to write my books and do workshops and, teach all the things that I'm passionate about. And I took the actions to start doing that, but I very quickly found myself in the in-between because I was still approaching my journey to freedom and living my purpose from an external perspective. I was still reaching for, I need X amount of clients. My business needs to be making X amount of money for me to really be free. I didn't yet understand that the true freedom, for me to have the level of freedom that I was craving, which means I get to go where I want and do what I want and, travel and work location free and fly my family and my dogs wherever I want to live for that month and be able to live and work from there, right? I want to be able to host workshops and work with people at retreats and work with people online. I want to be able to hire a team to support me in creating my mission. I want to be able to fund, animal rescues and addiction recovery programs and trauma recovery programs. I'm also driven by impact, like big impact. And so as I walked this path, I was standing in this place of void, like, how am I going to get from here to there? Because there seems like it's out of my reach. I didn't yet understand that I had to embody the frequencies of freedom, of success, of abundance. And what I waffled in between, and what I still see a lot of people kind of waffling in between, is this idea when we start to evolve. And again, if you guys want to know the whole wild soul evolution process that there's also a training on, so I can share the link with you guys later if you haven't seen the 5 phases of wild soul evolution training. That was a full-on webinar. We start to awaken, right? Phase 1 is awakening. It's looking around and being like, okay, and this is where I see so many people looking around and saying, something's not right here. I want more. And then one of two things happen. They start saying, I want more. And the people around them either crush them down and push them back into the slave grid, or, like I did, they stand in that place and they say, I don't care how much you people tell me it's not possible, or I'm crazy, or I should just keep this job that I hate because it's security. I'm doing the thing. So give me a hell yeah if you're one of the ones that's like, I'm doing the thing, regardless of who over here is telling you to settle down, get back in the box, in so many words, right? Because we hear a lot of that. Those of us who are visionary, rebels, we think outside of the box. We see bigger pictures. We see potential. There's going to be a lot of people around us who don't want to hear that because it scares them. That's not up to us. We have a choice when that happens. We can choose to listen to them and buy into their limitations, which keeps us in the slave grid. Or we can say, you know what? I've had enough of this. Thank you. I know that you're telling me this out of concern because you love me. You're not going to trigger me because I believe it's possible. I'm going to take my actions anyway. And don't worry about it. You'll see when I get the results. If you're a real rebel like me, right? You're going to prove them. You're going to show them. And you refuse to take no for an answer, right? I know some of you are out there. I see you. Right? So it really, really, really is very, very important that when you decide to embark on this process to freedom, to evolution, Gabe, projector till I die, rebel. For those of you that are really wanting this journey to freedom and personal evolution into your full potential, you have to commit fully. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself in that place. You're going to start evolving. You're going to start waking up, but then you're going to start living up here. And I see a lot of this. There's a lot of people living up in the 5D, in the crown chakra. Some people are even living in the soul star chakra. Oh, it's all energy and yay and blah, 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 blah. And the idea of grounding into the physical 3D scares the shit out of them because it doesn't feel free in the 3D. So this is where you really start to look at your life and you say, wow, do I have a lot of great ideas, but I struggle to bring them into form in the 3D? Because here's the thing, there's nothing truly spiritual about ignoring the process of living in the 3D. The 3D physical earth world is beautiful. It's brilliant. We have emotions. We have fun. We have love. We have pain. There's so much magic happening. Giovanna, boom. That's my girl. Giovanna gets it. Giovanna's been working with me for quite some time now, right? You want to be free in both. I spent so much time living up here because down here in the 3D was too painful for me. It hurt. My physical body hurt. I was storing trauma energetically in my hips and in my root chakra, and my throat chakra was closed off and I couldn't express myself. I was blocked up and clogged up with the vibration of shame and guilt and insecurity and anger and rage. So anytime I was embodied, I was like, this sucks. This is painful. And so I would run. I would change locations. I would change jobs. I would do anything not to be present in the physical world. Now I stand 1 foot in the physical, 1 foot in the energetic, and I have everything in between because I have physical freedom. My body has never felt better than it has before, and I just turned 40, right? My 20s were spent addicted to drugs because, I'll see you later, Trisha, because I was in so much pain. Mentally, I was in agony. That's why I was a drug addict. That's why I had addiction and depression, right? Because mentally and emotionally, it was pain. It was like a prison for me. I'm free now, right? And yes, that then translates to my external world by the fact that I don't go to a job that I hate anymore. I don't work for people who abuse me and tell me I should just be grateful to have a job. I do what I love. I'm building my own business, doing what I love, having an impact on each and every one of you, from, those of you that are here in the group with me, to those of you that take my courses, to those of you that are going to come to my retreats, right? I also do writing for people. Like, I'm not yet to where my business is sustainable enough. So I also do contract work, writing, copywriting, creative writing, doing what I love, writing about things that light me up. I create my own schedule. The first 4 hours of my morning are mine to meditate, to do yoga, to drink my coffee, to journal my manifestation practice. I then structure the rest of the day based on what I feel is best for me at any given time, right? That's freedom. The money flows in response to me having an impact and living my purpose. But when we start making decisions just to bring in money, that's not freedom. Right? That's when we find ourselves looping around in the slave grid. Well, I have to have this job. Now, I'm not telling you to go and quit your job. Your job is currently your avenue of financial support. But when you truly commit to this journey and you start understanding that there are grids over us, and you start doing the work to dissolve the slave grids, to activate the freedom grids, the abundance codes, right? Money codes, manifestation codes, you start understanding that the potential and the possibilities are limitless. Doesn't matter what you're living now. You can start calling in and creating whatever the fuck you damn well please, whatever lights you up. But the key is you have to connect to that. You have to decide what that is. It's not for your parents or your husband or your wife or your best friend to tell you what is going to be best for you. You have to know that. And you do that by connecting to your intuition, which is what tomorrow's live is going to be about. Because please keep in mind, right? Everything we're covering, the freedom grid that we're about to activate in just a minute here, the freedom grid is one key of 12 keys. Right? I have a whole brand new 6-month coaching container that's going deep on these 12 keys and how they interweave with the chakras, because it's a journey. But what I can offer you today is the introduction to that, right? I can offer you the introduction to your own personal freedom grid so you can start to understand that you have options and choices. And then as you start to work with that, you'll start to see that you have options that more than you realize, right? Like this is the first step of the upgrade, right? And it is a process, right? Giovanna, like we've been working on this for like 8 months now. I'm working on this stuff myself for the last 18 months with, my coach. It's a journey, right? It didn't get in there like this. Like we're undoing generations of programming. It's not going to happen overnight. So when somebody tells you they have some secret thing that if you just do this thing overnight, you're going to have $1 million, or overnight, you're just going to let go of everything that doesn't serve you. And I say that for you so that you can be mindful that if someone is trying to tell you, it can happen quick if you just do this one thing, just run in the other direction, because it's a journey. And because I'm here to serve you, I want you to understand that it's a journey and that this is just the very beginning of the journey, right? This is the first key, and I'm going to give you guys a little taste of what that first key is and how to begin activating it in your life so you can start on your journey. And what comes after, thanks, Gabe, what comes after is up to you, right? Where you go after this is you fully commit to your own process, right? So everybody that's here, whether you're watching this live or you're watching this as the replay, give me a hell yes in the comments if you know that you want purpose, more freedom and more purpose in your life. Give me a hell yes if you know that you have a calling, a yearning, a pull to do something amazing with your life, and you're not willing to take no for an answer. You're not willing to accept that you have to live in a box that somebody else designed. Because that shit is like 1955, and it's like, bye Felicia, time for that. So give me a hell yes if you're ready to access the freedom grid and understand that you have a grid. You've got a lot of grids, energetic grids that are over you, and that at any time you can begin to shift what is operating in those grids. And one last thing for your mental body to come along for the ride before we do the activation. I want you to think of yourself as a computer, as an iPhone, as an Android, right? And imagine that you're still trying to use a first generation iPhone or first generation Android. My first smartphone was an Android. And it was the worst phone ever. I would try to click on stuff and it would glitch out and the screen would jump around and it would crash all the time. It was so frustrating. It was so frustrating. Imagine that you're still trying to use a first generation smartphone on today's internet and all the apps. It wouldn't even work. It wouldn't support it. It wouldn't have the RAM. It wouldn't have the capacity, right? And that's why, look at how often we have to do software upgrades on our phones, on our computers, right? You get a TV and a year later that TV is obsolete. That's how quickly technology is progressing. So I want you to ponder something. if technology is progressing that fast, what makes you think that the same types of informational upgrades are not available to you, to your operating system? And ask yourself, when was the last time I updated my operating system? Or am I still running an operating system that was given to me in 1979, 1984, or 1995? Because that is a scary fucking thing, to think that you might be operating on something that was programmed into you 20, 25, 30. Like, just think about it in the context of, would I be using a TV that was 40 years old, 30 years old, a 30-year-old phone? A 30-year-old phone would be one of those gigantic cordless, first generation cordless phones that had the big antenna, right? And if you went too far away from the base, it would drop out and get all staticky, right? One of those TVs that had a giant back on it and weighed like 900,000 pounds because it had all the picture tubes in it and stuff. Just put it into context. It gets outdated so fast. So what about you? What about your operating system? And when I say operating system, I mean the beliefs you carry about yourself and the way that life works. That's a core element of your operating system. Your beliefs, your narratives, your behaviors, your defense mechanisms, right? And that's something I go really deep on in my chakra courses. For each chakra, I break down the belief systems that correspond with each chakra, right? Because you've got belief systems around money, about security, about the way the world works, about relationships, about love, about you, who you are, how you can act, yourself as a woman or a man or a non-gender, or, a person who likes the opposite sex or likes the same sex, right? You have beliefs about yourself for everything that you do. Every choice you make has a string of beliefs and programming attached to it. The way your parents behaved, the way you learned how to communicate, it's all just a vast network of coding, the same way a computer is, right? Like when you hitting Control-Alt-Delete, right? Or Command-Shift-4 to take a screenshot. You don't need to know everything that's happening in the computer to make Command-Shift-4 be a screenshot. Now, if you're a coder or programmer, you know that. Most of us don't. You are just the same. Computers are a model of us and our consciousness. And they're not even full capacity. It's like a poor model. Yet we walk around being amazed at technology. We've got more powerful technology than any computer available to us in the web of consciousness, the energetic web, the quantum grid that we're connected to. More powerful than anything. So that's what we're working with today. Okay? How does that sound? Are you guys excited? Woo! I know I am, because this is what lights me up. The idea of people running around, living in freedom, living in their purpose, living in self-love and compassion, tapping into their abundance so they can make an impact in the areas that they want to make an impact on. That excites me. Putting together gathering and retreats for people to come to and come together and heal and evolve together, right? Without having to see people go through like a painful, stressful process of, oh my God, can I afford it? Do I have time? Ugh. Like, let's put all that in the past, right? Because until we're willing to let go of that stuff, that lack grid, that slave grid, you can't embody true freedom. How can you embody true freedom without abundance? Right? Because abundance is the means to go where you want and do what you want, whatever that looks like. That can be as extravagant or as simple as you want it to be, whatever lights you up. I'm not here to judge you and tell you that because you're spiritual, you can't have money. That if you have money, you must be greedy. I'm not here to tell you that because you're spiritual, you can't buy yourself designer things. The choice is yours. Right? The choice is yours. That's the ultimate piece of freedom. Having the choice to do what's right for you in any given moment without having to think, what's this person going to say? Can I afford it? Do I believe it's possible? Self-doubt, self-doubt, self-doubt. Logic, logic, logic. Questions, questions, questions. Right? Let me just come back on your comments while we get ready. Awesome, Giovanna. I love seeing you grow too. Exactly, Gabe. So spot on. Oh, hi, Christine. I can see you sneak in there. Heather, thinking outside of the box was always so confusing to me. Because for me, there was never a box in the first place. Aha! And Heather, that's funny because you are quite logical, right? You have a very logical way of seeing the world. So it's like, well, there is no box. So how can I think outside of the box? Which actually keeps you in a box. Do you see the paradox in that? And this is the tricks our minds play on us because our minds just want to keep us safe. So what we have to do is bypass the conscious mind, get into the unconscious mind, activate things on an energetic level, so then that coding can start to permeate down here in the 3D realm. So, yay! So what I would like for you, each and every one of you, to do is think of 4 pillars that are going to support your freedom grid. Now, your 4 pillars can be, and also while I'm explaining you through this, I would like for you to kind of start to sit back. We're going to change gears a little bit. We're going to shift directions. We're going to jump into the activation. And I want you to just start to settle in and start taking some deep mindful breaths while I explain this part. Just think of 4 pillars. And these 4 pillars can be 4 things that are going to support your freedom grid. They might be abundance. I'll offer you my 4 pillars. Abundance, love, soul connection. Those are just 4 of the pillars that I personally have in my grid to support my grid. You can use those. You can pick your own. You can change these at any given time. Focus in on a point. Like this point is the most important thing in the world to you right now. Just notice everything about this point. Maybe it's on the wall, maybe it's on the ceiling. And as you focus in on this point, just slowly start to let your awareness expand outwardly. And you realize this point is part of a wall, part of a ceiling, that is part of a room. And this room is part of a house, part of a building. And this building is part of a piece of land. And let that awareness travel outwards to the part of the town, the county, that's part of a state that you're living in. And as it expands outwards and you understand that this state is on the planet Earth, and that Earth is floating around our galaxy, and slowly just allow your eyes to close. And as you close your eyes, focus your attention down into your belly and take a nice deep breath in through your nose, expanding out your belly and exhaling out. 2 more, deep into your belly, activating your gut brain, most powerful brain of your intuition. Exhaling out, inhaling into your belly and exhaling out. Breathing into your heart, your other brain, activating your heart brain as you breathe into your lungs, into your chest, expanding and exhaling out. Inhaling into your heart and exhaling out. And again, inhaling into your heart and exhaling out. Now shifting your attention up into your third eye, your brain, your physical brain, the point of intellect and logic, which is just such a small piece of the puzzle. Breathing into that space, in and out, in and out, in and out. Good. Now breathing into all 3 together, your gut brain, your heart brain, and your brain brain. Breathing in and breathing out. Beautiful. Now, in your mind's eye, I want you to see yourself You're floating up, 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 floating up, 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 out of your crown chakra, into your soul star chakra, connecting. Find yourself going up, 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 into the quantum, continuing out until you reach your own quantum space, your quantum point of creation. This is the origin of everything that you are experiencing in this life. This is your command center. And just see what you see, hear what you hear, feel what you feel. All is perfect, whole, and complete. You may see, you may feel, you may hear, you may taste, you may sense, you may just know. Whatever you're experiencing is perfect, just as it is meant for you. So maybe you're seeing an actual command center. Maybe you're seeing energy. Maybe you're seeing colors. Maybe you're in kind of a void place. Whatever it is perfect. And I want you to envision that as you're floating around this space, you're beginning to see, you're beginning to understand, you're beginning to feel yourself as an energetic being. Your awareness, your understanding is expanding outwardly. Maybe you can physically feel it expanding out of your third eye chakra and your crown chakra in your body. Maybe you can feel the waves of vibration as you consciously tune into your own unique energy signature. And in this moment, you understand on the most subtle level that you are an energetic being. And that all of this talk about quantum space and grids and programming begins here. And you understand that trying to shift any of it and change any of it down on the physical 3D level is kind of silly. It's like trying to take down a brick wall with a butter knife. It's hard. And you understand that here, you can shift and you can change things like that. And as you look around, I want you to start looking forwards and looking backwards, and you realize there's this timeline extending out behind you and in front of you. And this is the timeline of your life. And as you look over this timeline, you begin to see, feel, sense. Just visualize it. Just imagine that you can see data and information. And again, maybe it's pictures, maybe it's numbers, maybe it's code, maybe it's geometry, maybe it looks like equations, maybe it just looks like colors, maybe it's symbols. Whatever you're experiencing is perfect. You just see all of this information on your timeline, and you think to yourself, whoa, I really am like a giant bionic organic computer. This is amazing. And you realize that this is the core of everything you've been experiencing. And as you look around at all of the information and all of the data and the symbols, you start to create a container around it, a clear container. And as you stand in the midst of it, you realize, you see a handle appear on it. And you realize that you can reach out and grab that handle. So now reach out and grab it. Good. And pull it towards you. And push it away from you. Move it to the side. And you realize that you can interact with this. You realize that you can affect this. And now I want you to reach in there, maybe with a finger, and just like you're reaching into water. And you notice that when you touch it or move it, it moves, it shifts. Like you're writing on glass that was wet from the humidity. And when you draw on it, your drawing appears. Beautiful. And you now understand, you see that this information surrounds every bit of you. And maybe you see it as part of a grid. It's all around you, and you get to interact with it. And at this moment, I'm requesting and I'm calling in the support of my guides and each of yours to assist us in this process. And in the same way that I can drag and drop a file on a computer or send something to you via airdrop, right? I am now sharing with you my own freedom grid, my freedom codes, my freedom programming. And I want you to just picture this picture it like a crystal. Imagine that I'm handing you a big, beautiful crystal. And that crystal is appearing in front of you. And that crystal is coded with my freedom codes, my freedom grids, with the pillars of abundance, of love, embodiment, soul connection. And it's dropping into your container. Just dropping into your grid. Dropping into your grid. And just begin to notice as these codes drop into your container, what's happening? Are you seeing as everything shifts, moving forward, everything starts to change? As if you were watching code running and you changed the code and all of a sudden all the code runs changed differently. The geometry shifts, the symbols shift, maybe the colors shift. Maybe you start to visually see different experiences happening. All is perfect. And then I want you to reach out and I want you to grab the container. And I want you to imagine that you're stretching it. You're expanding it. Overhead, all around you. You're opening up your own container, your own grid to embody more freedom. Beautiful. Boop. Expand. Lock it in. Lock it in. Lock that in right now. Let that feeling course through every cell in your body. And now I want you to bring to mind one thing in your life that keeps you from feeling free currently. One thing in your physical 3D reality that has you kind of feeling trapped. Maybe it's the lack grid of feeling like there's never enough money. Maybe it's a relationship or a job or your living circumstances, whatever it is for you. Just bring that thing to mind. Drag it up out of that container. Bring it up in front of you. Project it onto a screen out in front of you. And see yourself in that thing, whatever it is, that prevents you from feeling free. And then I want you to step out of the screen. So now you're watching it on a screen. And as you watch the screen, you realize you have a remote control in your hand. And as you press play, you see the scene playing out of whatever it is in your life that currently keeps you from feeling free. If it's fear, maybe it's a job, again, lack, whatever. It's perfect, whatever's coming to mind. And you realize you can rewind it and all of a sudden it goes backwards. Then you hit fast forward and it's like, it just goes fast forward and it's going faster and faster and faster and faster and faster. You can turn up the volume and it's getting really, 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 really loud. You can turn down the volume and it's getting really, 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 really quiet. And you just see this playing out. And at that moment, you hit stop and you drain all of the color out of this screen. And all of a sudden, it's just fading to gray. And then it starts getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until it's in a tiny little box in front of you. And you're going to grab a hold of this box. You're going to hold it in your palms. And as you look at this box, you see it dissolving. And you go, and as you blow it away, it fades into the ether as mist. And again, you look back at your container and you realize what's shifted. And now I want you to float out to an unspecified time in your future. An unspecified time. See what you see, hear what you hear, feel what you feel. Just notice. As a result of the decision you made, as a result of you deciding to activate your freedom grid today, what's different in your future? What's different in light of that decision that you made? And just bask in that for a moment. Lock it in. Lock it in. Lock it in. Good. And when you're ready, just floating back, coming back, floating back into the now, coming back into the moment, becoming aware of your body, becoming aware of the density and the heaviness of your body. And just dropping a cord from your root chakra, imagining a beautiful red cord or some roots growing out of your root chakra, deep, deep, deep down, down, down into the center, the core of the earth. And as you connect with the core of your earth, you open yourself up to the connection and the power of being grounded and connected to Mother Earth. And then just envision that cord coming up from your crown chakra all the way up into your soul star, connecting you. And you are embodied right now, fully connected to the freedom grid, embodied in the moment. And taking a nice deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And slowly coming back and opening your eyes, looking around at your new reality and feeling what's different. And then as you come back, feeling free to share in the comments anything you would like to share about it. Just checking in with how you feel, letting me know how that was for you. Yeah, peaceful. Welcome back. What feels different? When you share by, commenting, you're further locking in what you experienced. When you keep things to yourself in here, it's so much easier for it to drift away from us. But when we write it or speak it into the 3D, we anchor it in more deeply. So I highly encourage sharing something about your experience. If you guys got to fully participate, some of you were having some struggles with your phones, which is fine. You can come back and do it later. The recording will, remain up in the group for you to come back and work with it again and again and again. Felt lighter, Vanessa. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, and so were you able to see and connect and just trust too? Please trust for each and every one of you that what we just did was an energetic process, right? So even if you don't have a visual, oh, I saw this, or I felt this, or this was what I did, this is where that trust and surrender comes in, right? We did some new energetic coding. That is going to begin to permeate down into the physical 3D realm. And this is where tomorrow's training is going to come into play. We're going to be talking about soul GPS and intuition, because that's the way that you start to really call this into your 3D physical reality. In activation, we gave you guys a grid upgrade, but the same thing, you could put all the badass software in the world on your computer, but if you don't actually open up the software and use it, what's it going to do for you? So the way that you start to use your new grid and your new programming is by following your intuition and your heart. And I'm going to talk to you guys about how to do that in tomorrow's live. Because remember, we're going 7 days of trainings for you all. All right. So we're going to be going deep all week. Right. So light and abundant, expansive, more and more clarity coming. Exactly, Pran, yes, that's exactly it, right? It's meant to expand us. It's meant to start expanding us energetically, because when we expand ourselves energetically, that trickles down through all the bodies, and eventually we start expanding in our mind, meaning we start looking around at life and realizing, well, what I was accepting as my limitations aren't really my limitations. I'm going to choose to expand beyond them. And that's when our physical reality starts to catch up, right? And we start to expand beyond physical limitations we thought we had, right? Because even just 5 years ago, my belief system and my programming did not believe that I could successfully have my own business. I didn't believe that I would ever be able to make lots of money to have the impact I want to have without working really hard. I thought that, trading time for money, I had to work really hard to make good money. And as I've upgraded my own systems, I've moved beyond that. That's the expansion, right? Yeah, Giovanna, love and trust. Exactly. And for those of you watching the replay, please feel free to comment and lock it in. Lock it in, lock it in, lock it in. So that, my friends, was your beautiful freedom grid. And of course, I went way over time. I intended for this to be 30 minutes, but I felt like there was just more that needed to be said. So, hey, it's here. It's here for you guys to come back and work with. I highly suggest working with. I'll put the timestamp for the activation in. If you've already watched it, you can just hop on and do the activation part. Do it a few times. The more you do it, locks it in. The other piece of sabotage that's part of the slave grid in today's society is that we pick up this idea that like, oh, I can just do it once and have the results. Oh, I'm going to just do it once and I get the results overnight, right? It doesn't have to be like enslaving yourself and grinding and hustling, pushing a boulder uphill and doing all over yourself. It's about going deep with the things that you want, taking the full journey, being committed to the full journey so you can have the full experience, right? And so what's next for you is to understand that what we did today, JD, I know you hopped on late, so come back and catch it. It was good. What we did today was like one little piece, and I don't have the infographic to show you guys. Like what we did today is one piece of an entire matrix system that brings freedom. And if you guys want to learn more about the whole 12 keys and the 5 phases, I will share the link again to the full training, which is about 2.5 hours long. And you can watch that training, that webinar, if you want to go deeper on this and really start to understand it. The other piece of it is that this is all part of what I go deep on with my clients, right? This is, it's a journey, right? People come on board, they work with me for 3 months, 6 months, a year, and we take this journey the same way that I'm taking this journey with my coach, right? It's not an overnight process, but this is, I've given you today a piece to get started, to really begin to start tapping into what's possible for you in your expansion. But it is just the beginning. And so if you're feeling like, okay, like I'm fully committed, I need to know more of this, I want to know more of this, then I highly encourage you to just start thinking about what you want that to look like, right? And reach out to me, because I'm launching a brand new program, going deep into this in September. I've got a lot of other courses and books and things. And the only way that I can know how I can best serve you as a coach and a teacher is if you reach out to me and we have an exchange, a conversation about where you're at and what you're currently wanting to do, right? And then I can offer you and assist you in mapping out a plan for you, right? But I know that when I tried to do it on my own, I kept looping around in that same circle, in that place of void, because I didn't understand the full picture. And so when you open yourself up to a teacher, a coach, a mentor, you will start to escalate very quickly, because just like I drag and dropped my freedom grids into you, you get to do that when you work more deeply with people. So I encourage you to start thinking about what that might look like for you. And just reach out to me, shoot me a message on Facebook. And we can arrange a time to chat and let me get to know you and see where you're at and if I can help you with progressing on your journey, right? Because that's what I'm here to do. That might look like a lot of ways, because I've got freaking tons and tons and tons of webinars and activations and free trainings, but I don't know, you don't know which ones are going to best serve you, because you don't even know how many there really are. And so if you reach out to me, I can help you put together a plan, a map that is going to best serve you. And that's just, my offer to you guys. So just shoot me a message if you're interested in any of that. I will see you guys tomorrow for our second day of 7 days, and we're going to go into intuition and soul GPS. So much love, everybody. I will see you soon. Have a beautiful Sunday and enjoy your day. Remember, be wildly you, and anything is possible. And I love you. Bye.